the live web thing up, you can let me know. But right now, people should see the chemist talk thing. Or is it still the countdown?
I mean, it probably doesn't matter what I see, but I see the chemist talk slide on the screen.
That's all right. I'll test it on my end. Oh, okay. I just see the countdown. So I'm gonna turn off the countdown and see what we get here. Okay, I've turned off the countdown. All right, like it's still the countdown, so 2 minutes.
Okay.
Now I will mute everybody except Jacqueline, I think. So Scott, I just muted you. Valerie, you're already muted. Judy, I'm gonna mute you.
Okay.
But I think you can unmute yourself. Scott, can you unmute yourself?
I think I did. Yep.
You did, okay. All right, I'm gonna mute you again.
All right, no problem.
And so everybody's muted except Jacqueline. Jacqueline, are you still there?
Yes.
All right. There we go. And my countdown says 1.5 minutes. Ooh, it's exciting. Well, it's fun that we got to put this together, huh?
Yes.
See how it works. Now, this is all going to be recorded too. So I could send you the video. Well, it's a YouTube recording. So you can get the video. You could, if you want, you could post it on your website. Now it's recording all of this part too. So we could cut it like right at 1 minute or whatever, or right when the thing starts. So.
Okay.
But I will send you that if you want.
Yes.
Okay, we've got 30 seconds. Okay. All right, looks like we are live. Anyone see it?
Should we wait just 1 minute to make sure?
Yeah. I mean, you can say welcome and all that.
Okay.
I'm going to look and see if I see it. See it?
It's working.
Yay. So do you guys see this?
Yes.
Haha. See it? Fun.
Great. Okay, well, so we can stay on schedule, I'll go ahead and get started.
Yep.
Good morning. I'm Jacqueline Hoffeld, the 2016 chair of the Southwest chapter. Welcome. On behalf of the California, Southwest, Intermountain West, and Twin Cities SCC chapters, thank you for your participation in the Area 3 webinar. This year's topic is innovation in hair care. Our first speaker is Judy Zhang. Judy is a director, personal care application at Innolex. Judy possesses over 20 years of experience in the personal care industry. Judy's topic is formulating clear conditioning shampoo. Sorry, Judy.
You're up, Judy.
Do you have to unmute her?
Yeah. Judy, you're muted, so. Just like that, huh? Judy, you seem to be muted, so you got to unmute yourself, I guess. There you are, Judy. Are you there, Judy?
Okay. Can everyone hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Great.
We'll
Oh,
switch
I
to
was
presentation.
so worried. Okay. Sorry about that. Good morning, everyone. My name is Judy Zhuang, and I'm the director of the application lab at Innolex. Today, I would like to talk about a new way of formulating high-performance clear conditioning shampoo. Clear shampoo has its unique optical appeal. Its clarity brings out the brightness and the richness of the color, and also enable to show the pearl effects from the effect pigments, which is very attractive to the teens and younger consumer. And conditioning shampoo is still very popular in the global market. For example, the Asian market. Many people there has very fine hair. They do not like their hair to have a heavy feel. Therefore, conditioning shampoo will be a great choice. Men with short, fine hair also prefer conditioning shampoo for its mildness and lightweight afterfeel. Traditional product containing silicone often gives a build-up effect on the hair, making the hair feels greasy and clumpy after repeated use. This build-up effect is very noticeable on the fine hair. Therefore, silicone-free shampoo with good conditioning effect has a big market demand. 2-in-1 shampoo fits in today's fast-speed lifestyle. And of course, there's still high population in the Asian region that would treat conditioner as a luxury product. Therefore, 2-in-1 shampoo will still be a valuable product that meets best consumers' needs. Conditioning shampoo, it's not just for mass market. Today, more and more consumers are looking for a high-performance conditioning shampoo. And this shampoo are focusing on safety, sustainability, and yet maintaining a high performance. Sulfate-free, quad-free, silicone-free, among those main trends in the global market. In addition to the clarity, performance, and safety, there's still many other requirements and challenges that formulators are facing when choosing the right ingredient for the shampoo project. For example, the ingredient need to be global approved, and the cost target of the ingredient need to fit it in the budget, and ingredient need to be easy to use and compatible with other ingredient in the shampoo formulation. And they also need to have a high ecological standard, sustainability, biodegradability, and etc. Let's look at the typical conditioning shampoo formulation. We can group the ingredient used in the shampoo into this 5 functional group. The first one will be the cleansing and foaming ingredient. This will include primary, secondary surfactants. And second one will be the texture and sensorial feel build-up ingredient. For example, the pearlescence wax for such as EGDS, EGMS. Of course, those not very good for our clear shampoo, but also polymer, it's used very often to build up the viscosity, also give the sensorial feel. And the third group will be the conditioning agent, which often are cationic additive oils and polyquaternion and different kind of gua. The gua hydroxypropyl triammonium chloride are used very often. And the fourth group will be the auxiliaries ingredients such as perfume, color, effect pigment, and ingredient for cleanse purpose. And also, of course, preservatives very important for this formulation too. And formulating a clear conditioning shampoo could be very challenging because the ingredient added to for the conditioning effects, such as in the group 3, or the texture and sensorial feel in the group 2, they will also bring a shade of cloudiness. Not only that, they also affect the performance, such as foaming, viscosity buildup, product distribution during the application, stability, etc. Let's look at some performing clear shampoo in the market. They're basically clear, but still could be clearer. Formulators are continuously searching for innovative ingredient and technology that enable a clear shampoo to be even more clearer. Besides clarity, here are some major performance attributes formulators are focusing when they're searching the innovative gradient to meet the challenge of formulating high-performance clear conditioning shampoo. And the ingredient should have superior conditioning effects, should be able to increase shine and softness, would be great to have give a sensorial experience during the application. Also, they require the ingredient need to be broad compatibility, mild, biodegradable, and also it will be great to give a silicone-free claim, but still have all the advantage that silicone bring in the formulation. All right, now let me introduce you a novel active polymer. It's polyester amine with key name polyester 11. It is able to provide all the desired property mentioned before for clear conditioning shampoo for the mass and high-end market. I'm going to talk about this product itself and also in the formulation and some finished formulations performance in following presentation. The novel chemical structure of this polyester amine determines its superior performance. It has a polyester backbone with repeated tertiary amine group in the repeated monomer unit. This tertiary amine group forms cationic site in the formulation. As we know, the hair are negatively charged, therefore the numerous tertiary amine group cationic site would generate the primary attractive force for the product to stay on the hair during the lathering and rinse process. The secondary attractive force is from the ester linkage, which is the backbone of the polymer. It provides a soft and shiny effects on the hair. There's a branch acute chain on the polymer backbone. This will add a soft and silky sensorial experience to the product. The branched structure is the key to enable its clarity in the formulation, also differentiated from other products which has the similar structure in the market. And this is Inolex's patent technology. Because of the novel chemical structure design, it has a novel aesthetic that, unlike the feel of any other polymer conditioning agent, it is highly hydrophobic and lubricious. It provides much more intensive conditioning effects than the standard conditioning additive, such as polyquaternion, polymer, and amidamethicone. It enables an exceptional, healthy, and silky hair appearance after wash. Let's look at the performance of this additive in the real application. This will including the conditioning effects in the wet hair and dry hair, also sensorial assessment during the application, such as lathering, slip, foam degree, and stability, and also the effects on the dry hair, including the softness, shine, manageability, volume, and also the non-build-up effects. This is a very basic mass market shampoo formulation. We adopted it as a base to showcase the contribution of this novel active polymer in the application. The formulation number ends with 091, has 0.5% of this innovative active polymer. 090 is the base of shampoo formulation as a control in the following test. We have also used a benchmark in this same test. It is a top sale clear conditioning shampoo in the Asian market. The brand name is Xiyang, as some of you may know. Evaluation is set on a 5-point scale with control is set to 0. Slightly better, it's give a 1, and much better will be the 2. -1 will be slightly worse than the control. -2 will be much worse than the control. And we can see that during the application, meaning the hair wash process, the formulation with 0.5% of active has a much better performance in terms of distribution of shampoo on the hair, flash foam volume, foam stability, and slip. So it also outperformed the top sales benchmark product in this test. Now let's look at the conditioning effects. The data of the dark blue bar is the percentage of combing or detangling force reduction for the hair tresses treated with the test shampoo containing the active polymer versus hair tresses treated with control shampoo base only without the active polymer. The lighter blue bar shows the percentage of the combing detangling force reduction of the benchmark Xiyang products versus the control shampoo base. We can see that 0.5% of active polymer enable the improvement of all conditioning effects on wet hair combing detangling as well as dry hair combing and detangling. Also outperform the benchmark products. Last, let's look at the sensory assessment on the dry hair. Once again, 0.5% of this patent innovative polymer shows outstanding performance in silkiness, moisturization, shine volume, manageability. Oops. Something's wrong. Can everybody see the presentation okay? I guess.
Yeah, it still looks good, Judy.
Okay, all right. Here's the SEM picture of the hair tresses treated with the test formulation versus the control shampoo base. We can clearly see that the hair tress treated with this active polymer has cuticle with flatter scale. This reduced friction when combing and holding the moisture for the improved hair appearance and sensory. The next task is to compare the clarity of the basic shampoo formulation with 3 different commonly used conditioning agents. One is polyquaternium 10, PQ10. One is the guar hydroxypropyl triammonium chloride. I'll refer to it as guar later on. And one contains the active polymer polyester 11. It's clearly shown here that the polyester 11 gives the best clarity in this basic common shampoo formulation. The same performance tests are also done on this 3 formulation with 3 different conditioning agents. The result shows polyester 11 provide a comparable conditioning effect compared to the currently popular used conditioning agent, guar and PQ10. Also, on the dry hair sensory test, polyester 11 surpassed guar and PQ10 in softness, shine, overall appearance of the dry, clean hair. The third test I would like to show is the non-buildup effects when repeatedly use the shampoo with this polymer additive. This is a silicone-free shampoo with 0.5% polyester 11. We have used it to demonstrate the non-buildup effect in the following test. We used this shampoo to wash 2 hair tresses. One tress was washed once only and then dried. The other tress was washed 5 times, means wash, dry, and repeated 5 times total. If there's a buildup, means the hair washed 5 times with this shampoo should have more polyester 11 on the hair tresses than the one washed only once. Now we dye these 2 hair tresses using the same procedure as indicated on the left side of this slide. I'm not going to read it. You can read it as talk, and there's a buildup of the, if there's a buildup of the polyester 11, there will be more color left on the hair after the hair is treated with dye. Because the dye will not be washed off as easy since they are bonded tightly with the polyester 11 on the hair tresses, assuming if they're there. But we see no color difference with naked eye on these two hair tresses after this experiment. The data shown on this page was the color measurement of the two hair tresses by using chromometer. Usually, if the difference is more than 1 unit in this reading, there's a noticeable difference by eye. But obviously, the difference of these two readings is only 0.08. It's way lower than 1 unit. Therefore, we can say that there's no build-up effect of polyester 11 on the hair after repeated usage. I just want to give you an example of a high-performance sulfate-free, silicone-free clear conditioning shampoo. In this prototype, we have combined this active polymer together with ester oil, which is the trimethyl propane tricaprolate. It is an ester that has been proven to give conditioning and shine and many other benefits in the hair care product and widely used in the hair care market. When using them together at the right ratio, this active polymer and the ester oil will give us synergistic effects that enable a superior performance, including the lathering, conditioning, rinse off, etc., which would be normally be a challenge in the sulfate-free shampoo application. And last, I would like to give you some formulating tip when using this active polymer in the clear shampoo formulation. When using the clear surfactant system containing other polymers such as HPMC as thickener, it is recommended to get a higher salt tolerant grade to achieve best clarity. For example, the Benecel E10M from Ashland, Methocel 40-0202 from Dow Chemical. They're the best in terms of not bringing another shade of clarity to the formulation. And you can use polyester 11 as a single conditioning agent or combine use with guar and PQ10. Sometimes depends on the viscosity and also the texture and other sensorial experience. The combination of the three can give you a special desired feel and texture. And when combined use oil or essential oil or even fragrance in the formulation, sometimes it brings in the cloudiness. But if you mix well with this polyester amine ahead of time before adding into the surfactant mixture, it will give you a much better clarity. So this is also a good formulation, also a very serve as like a solubilizer to those oils and fragrance. But of course, much better than that because he bring you all the other benefit you already seen in the previous presentation. And also when you add the polyester amine and then adjust the salt level at the end will be the best approach to give the optimized viscosity. The suggested use level of this polyester 11 is 0.1 to 2%, as 0.1% would be a combined use with other conditioning agent. All right, this is the last page of my presentation summarizing the benefit of this patent active polymer polyester amine. It has a superior performance in making a clear shampoo. It has excellent anti-static and combability performance. You can see the benefit even at a very low level. It has a synergistic effect with other conditioning agent. It will significantly improve the performance of economic formula, and it's easy to incorporate. The suggested level is 0.1 to 2%. All right, thank you for your attention. And now I'm taking a question if you have any.
All right, Judy. Thanks for that. Valerie, I'm going to unmute you, and then you can chat. Maybe. Okay, Judy, you're still there?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Perry speaking, by the way.
Yeah. Hi.
Let me see if I can throw it over to Valerie.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We just wanted to let you know that our presentation slides will be emailed to you after the webinar in case you were not able to join us or if you had issues reading anything on the screen. And the presentation will include the contact information for all three speakers, Judy, Scott, and Perry.
Yeah. Judy, I did have a question. So how does this new polymer compare to something like a polymer JR in terms of conditioning feel after use?
Polymer JR, are you talking about the GUA?
Well, polyquaternium 10, for example.
Yeah, in the presentation we have shown the data, which I'm trying to go back to my presentation and come to this page where we had the performance comparison. Are you trying to compare the sensory assessment or during the application performance?
Yeah, no, it was the sensory. I know polyquaternium 10 is kind of the industry standard as far as
right. Yeah, that's why we use it in our test. Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that the guar does, I know for formulating shampoos, one of the things guar does is it improves the foam. Does this polymer have any effect on the foam quality?
Yes, and it's definitely if give a great foaming capability. It's definitely improved the foaming. I have earlier, in the flash foam area here in this test, right? 0.5% of polyester 11. We have not really compared to the GUA, but the foaming here compared to the control, the flash foam is significantly improved. So the control has all the surfactant, has all a betaine, which all the ingredients there to give the foam, and with additional 0.5% at polyester 11, the flash foam is significantly improved.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. What's not excellent is the error message I'm seeing. Okay, I've got it back. Hopefully the webinar is back online. There was a brief error there. If you don't see it right now, you should refresh your screen. So just and refresh your screen. Just go to your browser, hit the reload button, and that should refresh your screen. You should see it again. All right, Jacqueline, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Jacqueline, you have to unmute yourself. All right. Well, Valerie, you want to introduce Scott?
All right, our next speaker is Scott Cardinale from Croda. His talk today is about combing cream technologies, and I'm a bit off guard about his biography. Scott, would you like to tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Go ahead, Scott. You have to unmute yourself, I guess.
Okay, there we go. I finally got it to unmute.
There we go.
Okay. A little bit about myself. Yeah, I've got over 25 years of experience in the industry. I'm currently the business development manager at Croda and focused on supporting the team here in North America. Before Croda, I've had some roles in the applications lab here at Croda, as well as about 15 years of various product development tech service activities at National Starch. I have some experience with Unilever as well in product development. So right now my business development role is a bit commercial/technical, but most of my experience has been on the technical side. So that's who I am. And just wanted to thank you all for joining in. Good morning. And thanks very much to the Area 3 chapter also for giving us the opportunity to speak. So today what I wanted to talk about is an exciting product concept that's relatively new to the North American market. And that's all about combing cream technologies. Probably a good way to start is just a discussion on what combing creams actually are. Now, combing creams are multifunctional products that originated in Brazil. A former colleague of mine told me that the combing cream concept really started when consumers in Brazil found that they used fabric softener, normally used for laundry detergent, and they put that in their hair. They actually improved the combability of the hair, and they got better definition of the curls, better style. Now, I haven't been able to verify that story anywhere, but I have no reason to doubt that it's not true because really the fabric softeners and what you see the combing creams doing have a lot in common. I mean, basically what the combing creams are, they're part detangler, part leave-in styling cream. And the leave-in detangling aspect improves the combability, the detangling of the hair. And it also helps to protect the hair during the combing process. And the styling aspect comes in the curl definition and the anti-frizz benefits that these products bring. Now, these types of the combing creams are really well suited for people with wavy, curly hair, although we do see a lot of use of people with straight hair as well. And the products are typically applied to the wet hair right after styling, but another important aspect of the combing creams is that people will use these repeatedly throughout the day whenever they feel the need to refresh the hair, refresh the style, refresh the combability. So what we're going to talk about today, first we're going to start out talking a little bit about the market dynamics. We'll talk about the Brazilian hair market and really why we should really look to that market as an incubator for some great ideas for hair care, especially in the conditioning area. And we'll also talk about the North American market and why we feel that it's really favorable at this time for the transfer of the combing cream technology from Latin America to our region. We'll talk a little bit about the combing creams themselves, what they are, what types of ingredients go into them. Then we'll share with you some insights that we got when we ran a focus study to try and learn what consumers really want from the combing creams, their likes and their dislikes, and what type of unmet consumer needs there are. We'll then move on to just a brief discussion on where we see some opportunities, some white space in the North American market, as well as white space in the global market for combing creams, where we might be able to deliver a better product, and just finish up with some conclusions. So that's the plan for today. So let's start out with a discussion on the market dynamics. When we look at the cosmetic marketplace, I mean, historically, trends and new innovations came from either the North American market, the European market, or from Japan. But increasingly, we're seeing innovations in cosmetics coming from all over the globe. And I really love this slide because it really tells us why we should be looking to Latin America and Brazil in particular for the next innovation in terms of hair care. What this slide shows is there was a survey done that asked consumers how important it was to look stylish at all times. And you see that about 50% of the consumers in Asia, 50% of the consumers in Europe felt that it was important to look stylish at all times. North America, we're slacking a little bit. We're down around 32%. But then you turn to Latin America, you see that a full 69% of the consumers feel that it's important to look stylish at all times. And that certainly bodes well for those of us who are looking to make products to help people look stylish at all times. And on top of that, 69%, when you look at just respondents from Brazil, a full 87% of the Brazilians feel that it's important to look stylish at all times. So certainly, Latin America is an important region for coming up with new types of products to help you look your best. When we look at the global hair care market, you can see that, not surprisingly, Brazil ranks quite highly in market value. At 9% of the overall market, they rank third in terms of countries in market value. And it's a market that continues to grow. Over the last 5 years, the hair care market in Brazil has grown 43%, which is pretty impressive by itself. And it's even much more impressive when you stop to think that last year was a pretty brutal year for the Brazilian economy. The overall hair care market actually shrank by about 10%. Yet in spite of that, the 5-year growth was 43%. So the Brazilian hair care market is quite strong. So let's try and understand the source of that market strength. When we look at the global hair care market, you see that the market is really dominated by shampoos, and conditioners rank number 2 in terms of the value. Now that's the overall global hair care market. When you look at things in Brazil, it's a bit different. In Brazil, the conditioner market is by far the most important segment of the hair care market, almost twice as much in value in comparison to the shampoos. And the combing creams is a big reason for that, the popularity of the combing creams and the consumer usage of those combing creams. So as a result of the dominance of conditioners in the Brazilian market, when you look at the global conditioner market, Brazil actually ranks number 1 in the world in terms of total value. So it is an important market for hair care and for conditioners in particular. And a big component for that is, the reason for that is you look at how people use conditioners in Brazil. First, when you look at the North American market, you see 79% of the conditioners are the traditional wash out, rinse off, cream conditioner rinses. There's only 5% of leave-in conditioner used. Now, it's quite different in Brazil. Certainly, the washout conditioners are very important, but the leave-in conditioners make up a much bigger portion of the overall market. And again, this is due to the popularity and influence of the combing creams on the market. And what you see in Brazil is similar in other areas in Latin America. For example, if you take a look at Brazil, again, you see about 18% of the conditioner market is for the leave-in treatments. But then you look at the overall size of the market, though, Mexico really pales in comparison to Brazil and to the US. But the important thing to note here is that consumer behaviors are a bit different, and these combing creams, the leave-in conditioning treatments, are a significant part of the marketplace there. So what does that mean for us in North America? You know, the term combing cream by itself even is not really well understood, not really well known within the North American market. But we do see there are indications that combing creams are becoming more known and are becoming more popular in North America. And we really expect this to accelerate going forward. But right now, there's a lot of white space in the marketplace. So if you are looking to jump into the market, it's a good time to do it. But there are a number of trends which are indicating that the combing cream market should grow quite nicely in North America. You know, one of the trends that we see is certainly there's a movement of trends in skincare to hair care, and consumers are beginning to more and more accept multi-step regimes. It's popularized in Asia and more now in North America. And people are also becoming more open to multi-step regimes for the hair care treatment as well. And as we talked about before, the trend sources are increasingly diverse. It's not just starting in the US, not just starting in Japan or Europe. Trends are coming from everywhere. The combing cream certainly for hair care is a good indication of that. And skincare, the popularity of Korean type of cosmetics also reinforces that. So having a trend come from Brazil certainly is not anything that should be all that surprising. But two of the most important trends, though, relate to natural hair movement, as well, especially people with curly hair. People are embracing curls. They're not looking to straighten curls or minimize them. They're embracing them and doing things to enhance their appearance. And also we're seeing quite a rise in the multicultural consumer as well in North America. So just to talk about those last two trend drivers in a little bit more detail, again, when we look at what's happening, consumers are embracing natural hair. There are studies done. It showed that 2/3 of the African-American women have worn a natural hairstyle in the past year. And we are seeing, as a result, a big drop in the sales of relaxers in favor of products to enhance and to treat those naturally curly hairs. So certainly the movement towards natural hair movement is quite popular, not just with African-American types of consumers, but with a broad range of consumers. And combing creams are a technology which are really well suited to people with curly hair. Another market driver is the changing demographics. They say that the Census Bureau expects that within the next 30 years, the US is going to become a majority minority country. And the Hispanic population is growing quite a bit. By 2060, they're expected to constitute 28% of the nation's popularity. And this bodes really well for people who are looking to manufacture products targeted for this demographic. The US-born Hispanics have been shown to outspend both foreign-born and non-Hispanics in terms of beauty purchases. But again, the combing cream technologies aren't useful for just people of Hispanic descent, but it's useful for a wide range of hair types. And over the next few slides, hopefully you'll better understand what combing creams are, what they do, and what people like and don't like about them. So let's just start out with the combing cream properties. And again, just to go back to the second slide that I showed earlier, combing creams are basically a multifunctional product that offer both that conditioning benefit as well as the styling benefit. So combing creams typically contain the ingredients I've listed here. Very important to their efficacy are the conditioning agents. If you want to have good combability, if you want to have good detangling, you're going to have agents in here which are going to enable you to get that on the hair. And certainly quat technologies are very useful for doing that, as well as cationic polymers. And the conditioning long chain amines can also deliver a number of very good conditioning benefits in combing creams. Emollients are also an important ingredient to use in combing creams. The emollients can deliver several types of benefits. They can enhance the combability. They can also enhance the definition of the curls, and they can also contribute to a moisturized type of feeling on the hair. And you'll see very shortly that moisturization is a key benefit that people are looking for from these combing creams. So emollients are an important component of the combing cream technology. Now, since the combing creams are part leave-in conditioner, but they're also part styling agent, it's important to have ingredients in there that can help to define curls. So including styling agents, it can be very useful for enhancing the efficacy of combing creams. Or you can use just silicones to seal the hair fiber to moisture penetration to enhance the longevity of the defined curls. These materials are typically lotions, creams, so you need structuring agents, and fatty alcohols are quite popular for that, but it's also quite common to make use of polymers to enhance and modify the overall rheology. So these are some of the key ingredients that you can see in combing creams. And on top of these, you can add other benefit agents to focus in on specific types of benefits or to open up a number of different types of segments in the hair care market. So it's probably easiest to take a look at what a combing cream is by taking a look at the ingredient decks of some commercial products that we see in the marketplace. Starting with the product from Unilever, the Seda product from Brazil. And when you look at the ingredient deck, you've got the mineral oil, which is an emollient, which is going to help with the moisturization of the hair. It's going to help with the combability. You've got a structuring agent in the cetyl alcohol. The dimethicone can help enhance the curls. You've got glycerin for moisturization. Then you've got the stearinimidopropyl dimethylamine, which can enhance the conditioning effect, as well as a conditioning polymer that can also enhance the rheology of the system. Now, they've also included some other interesting ingredients in the lower part of the ingredient deck to enable them to make some claims around the added benefits that you can get. But this kind of captures the key components of the ingredients in a combing cream. And Unilever, of course, is a multinational. We also wanted to take a look at a local type of product. This is from Monage, which is owned by Iper Marcus. I say it's local. At the time that this product was launched, it was local, but this, of course, company has now recently been purchased by Coty. But looking at the ingredient deck, you can see, again, you've got your fatty alcohol for structuring. You've got the cetrimonium chloride for the conditioning. The cinnamide MEA and the glycerin gives you some moisturization benefits. You've got the emollient through the mineral oil, as well as some additional conditioning agents. So those are a couple of products from Brazil. Combing creams are prevalent throughout Latin America, and this is just reinforces that. This is a local product from Koala in Colombia. And again, when you look at the ingredient deck, they have the key elements of the combing cream. There is the hydroxypropyl trimonium hydrolyzed cornstarch, which gives you some styling. It's a film-forming polymer, which can enhance the longevity of the curls. They include the bihine-trimonium ethyl sulfate as a conditioning agent. They include some silicones to get some nice curl definition, as well as an emollient to help with the moisturized feel of the product. So the combing cream technologies are pretty similar in terms of the types of ingredients used, but quite diverse in the actual technologies to achieve the different benefits. Just to give some formulating guidelines in terms of how much of what type of ingredient are needed, we've put together a very simple, what we call soft and smooth combing cream. You can see we've included glycerin as a moisturizing agent. We've included a nice cocktail of conditioning agents, the bihine-trimonium ethyl sulfate for detangling, quaternium 91 for softness effect, and the bisethyl isosteryl imidazoline isosteramide is a nice type of technology for enhancing the healthy movement of the hair. We've also included some isopropyl isostearate to give a nice emolliency, and we've included a fixative in here to give a long-lasting curl definition. So these are the typical types of ingredient concentrations and ingredient types that you would find in a fairly straightforward combing cream. So we have a pretty good idea about what are in combing creams, but we didn't really have a full understanding of what consumers liked about the products, what they felt are the most important attributes for the combing creams, what are nice to haves, as well as what they'd like to see. So we ran a focus group in Brazil with a variety of consumers. We had two different groups. We had consumers with kinky curly hair, as well as a group that had straight or straightened hair, to get a sense for why they use combing creams, what they liked about them, and what they didn't. And it was pretty interesting. What we found from this focus study was that people really, truly view these combing creams as indispensable products. They love the fact that they help them to get the appearance that they've just washed and styled their hair. Even if they apply this throughout the day, you can kind of continually refresh that type of appearance. And the comment that we got back was that respondents could imagine themselves without shampoo and conditioner, but never without their leave-in product. So truly it is a very, very important class of ingredients for the consumer in Brazil. So we wanted to get a sense, well, okay, what's the most important thing? And we were able to group a number of attributes into indispensable benefits that people seek from combing creams, what's important to them, and what additional benefits they seek from them. What we found was that the most indispensable benefits for all consumers were that they needed to deliver benefits that will make the hair feel and appear to be moisturized. And by that, that includes making the hair look shiny, making it feel soft, having it detangled, and having it not frizz up. So that's an indispensable benefit. And they also wanted it to be an affordable type of product because these are used very often. But people also understand that you get what you pay for. So there's kind of a sweet spot. You don't want to have the absolute cheapest type of product in the marketplace, but you don't want to have too expensive a product. And then interestingly enough, we did see some differences between the two groups. For the women in the kinky curly hair group, an indispensable benefit was the ability to reduce volume. We also found that the group with straight hair really found the strength of the hair to be an indispensable benefit. When you look in the marketplace, some examples for moisturizing the hair, there's a product from Natura where they talk about being able to hydrate and deliver gloss and softness to the hair. In terms of volume reduction, some of the key terms are frizz, disciplined, treating excessive volume. And then in terms of affordability, you can see what I meant before. You don't want to have a product which is super inexpensive, although certainly there is a spot in the market for them. But really, people are looking to get a good value. So they're willing to pay a little bit more for products which are going to perform well and deliver what they say. And then in terms of strengthening, some of the terms you talk about, as you would expect, strength, increasing the strength from within. So there's just some of the different types of claims that people are making around these indispensable benefits that consumers are seeking. Now, there's also a class of ingredients which you wouldn't call indispensable, but they're certainly very important to the consumer. And it's not surprisingly, fragrance is very, very important. People want products which can help to repair damage, maintain the curls, give you that definition, and also protect the hair against UV light. Consumers in Latin America do tend to be exposed to the sun quite a bit, and they are very interested in protecting the hair from that UV exposure. Some additional benefits that are important, but probably a bit less so than the important benefits, would be things like color protection, repairing split ends, heat protection, dandruff protection, some of the add-on benefits. Throughout the focus study, we did find that there were a number of areas where consumers still weren't 100% satisfied. The combing creams go a long way towards delivering some benefits, but people would like to see further improvements. And one area for that is in the area of a long-lasting effect. You know, it would be great to get that just out of the shower, just styled look last longer and not have to use the product as often, as much. People also would like the product to be a bit easier to apply. Typically, you have to apply the combing creams to wet hair. Something that you could use that spreads on the hair more easily would be very much appreciated. And then more and more people are looking for protection against external agents. Anti-pollution is a very popular claim now, as well as wind, humidity, water, swimming, and such. And like this product, like pretty much every other product in the consumer industry, people are looking for that longer lasting type of fragrance. So there are some opportunities for better addressing consumer needs, and we've got some recommendations in terms of some approaches on how to do this. One area for that long-lasting effects where we think people can have a much bigger impact in terms of combing cream efficacy is by using more of the styling polymers. And certainly there are some products in the market that do make use of styling polymers, but there are other combing creams that don't always use the styling polymers, and they rely more on the silicones and the conditioning agents to give that styling type of effect. But polymer technology can be very useful for reinforcing the benefits of combing creams. But you want to make sure you get the right type of styling polymer. I mean, there's some very stiff, hard, hold styling polymers which work great in applications like gels or hairsprays, but you don't want those in a combing cream because the combing creams, yeah, it's part styling product, but it's also part leave-in conditioner. So you want the hair to feel soft and natural. So in order to deliver some very nice benefits, you're going to want a styling polymer, which is going to give a soft, natural type of hold. You're going to want them to also enhance the combability of the hair, but that natural feel is really, really important. And in order to get the long-lasting effect, you need high humidity resistance. And to highlight some of the benefits that you can get from this type of styling product, we did a pretty simple experiment. We took our soft and smooth combing cream, and we put one together without styling polymer, and we put one together with the styling polymer, treated the hair tresses, and then exposed them to about 75% humidity for 24 hours. And we then looked at the hair tresses. And you can see that when you use the combing cream with the styling polymer, you got significantly better curl definition after that high humidity exposure than you get from the exact same formulation without the styling polymer. So you can get a huge benefit from using the styling polymer in terms of that long-lasting curl definition. And this gives you the type of performance that consumers expect from their premium performing products. Another area where we see some opportunity is enhancing the delivery of the combing cream to the hair. And we feel that liquid dispersion polymers can be a great way of doing that. And for those of you who aren't familiar with liquid dispersion polymers, basically what you have is you have an anhydrous carrier system. It's typically an emollient. And in that emollient, a thickening polymer is dispersed. That polymer is not able to swell because it's tied up in the oil phase. But you also put some inverting emulsifier in there. But when the liquid dispersion polymer is added to water, the polymer is able to escape and swell and build viscosity. The inverting emulsifier enables you to get a stable emulsion, and this carrier fluid in the liquid dispersion polymer becomes an internal oil phase. So this can be really useful in terms of enhancing efficacy of combing creams, because the type of rheology that you get is quite nice. You get kind of a gel cream. It's a rich type of cream, but it's also very watery, which is easy to spread. And that enables you to get a combing cream that can cover the hair quite nicely. And because these liquid dispersion polymers don't require heat, it just requires mixing, you can actually put together a cold process type of combing cream. And that's what we've shown here in the cold process multicultural combing cream. We've got the liquid dispersion polymer in at 2.5%. We've got an emollient, conditioning agent, as well as a film forming polymer to deliver all the benefits that the consumers are looking for in the combing creams. And certainly there are benefits that consumers are seeking against things like pollution, UV light, even protection against aging, repairing the damage. The combing creams are designed to prevent damage from happening, but damage will still happen to the hair. And if you can include ingredients to help repair some of the damage that's happened, that can be a big benefit as well. So there's some opportunities for putting together some pretty interesting systems to address specific customer needs. Just as an example, UV protection can be a great add-on benefit for these combing cream technologies. We've done a study where we've shown when you include a quaternized UV filter, treat the hair with that, expose it to UV protection, you're able to protect the integrity, the structure of the proteins in the hair. And that's important not just for strength, but it can also help with combability. When hair becomes damaged from UV light, it's much more difficult to comb through the hair. So by including UV protection into a combing cream, you can enhance the combing efficacy as well as deliver some benefits that consumers are looking for. So we're getting towards the end. I just wanted to finish up with a brief comment on multicultural product design. As we see more and more multicultural consumers in the marketplace, it's really important to deliver products that can meet their needs. That's true not just in hair care, but in skincare as well. There are a couple of different approaches that you can take for that. You can take a base product line and you can tailor that product for the specific needs of specific consumer segments. That's one way of doing that. You could have a product line for say, oily hair, curly hair, straight hair, and such. Or you could try to design a product that has performance efficacy that works well on a broad range of hair types or skin types. And the reason why it is important to recognize the multicultural consumer is that when you look at hair types and across various ethnicities, there truly are differences in the morphology of the hair and in terms of the physical properties of the hair. For example, the Asian hair tends to be the most round. The African hair tends to be most flat. You've got differences in the diameter of the hair. You've got differences in the oiliness of the hair. So it can be challenging. It's not impossible, but it can be challenging to come up with a one-size-fits-all product. But if you're going to take that approach, the one-size-fits-all product, it's very important to make sure that you're using ingredients which are versatile and which have been demonstrated to have benefits on a broad range of hair types. And alternatively, understanding, recognizing the differences amongst the hair types and designing formulations specifically to address each of these hair types and to be able to communicate that to the consumer can be quite important as well. So that brings me to our conclusions. Basically, hopefully over the last half hour or so, I've been able to communicate to you that combing creams really are an exciting product class that's coming from Latin America, specifically from Brazil. And we expect it to make more and more of an impact here in the North American market as well. We know that the combing creams are multifunctional in that they do enhance the combability of the hair, but they also enhance the style of the hair. Great for curly hair products. Also could be quite useful for straight hair as well. So there are market forces which are bringing these combing creams to the market. It's still early on, so there are a lot of nice opportunities in the marketplace, a lot of white space, and there are still unmet consumer needs, so the opportunity exists to take existing technologies and to improve on them through the proper choice of ingredient selection. So with that, I just wanted to end by saying thank you. My email there, it's just firstname.lastname@croda.com. If there are any questions that you want to ask, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And as Perry and Jackie had indicated, we'll be sending the presentations out afterwards. So with that.
All right. Thanks, Scott. We didn't get any questions sent in, but I did have a question that occurred to me while you were talking.
Okay.
When you were going through, one of the big trends that I've seen in the industry is the trend for natural products. And considering that mineral oil was one of the better ingredients to use, did you guys see natural products as even a trend or anything in Brazil?
Well, absolutely. Natural products is a trend, not just in Brazil, but everywhere. Mineral oil does have the benefit of being relatively economical. But also Brazil, it's the home to the Amazon rainforest. You've got some really interesting oils coming out of there as well. I think mineral oil isn't the only product which is used in the combing creams. I guess just based on the products that I picked out, it showed up on the label. But we do see activity around natural oils as well.
All right. We didn't have any other questions that I saw, but people feel free to contact you if they have more questions. You have their email, and I'll turn it back over to either Jacqueline.
Yes.
Jacqueline, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yes. Operator error before. Sorry. I just wanted to let everybody know our final speaker is Perry Romanowski. Perry is Vice President at Brains Publishing and is responsible for producing Chemist Corner and other scientific or science educational websites and products. Just a fun fact about Perry, he holds the official Guinness World Record for the fastest 50-mile run while juggling. Perry's topic is on optimizing hair care formulations. Thank you, Perry.
All right, thank you, Jacqueline. And let me share my screen here. just one moment. Okay, calling up the slides. I'm assuming you can see these slides. Yeah. Let's see. So there we go. Okay, here's slides. Wait, I got to put it on me first. There we go. And quick camera. Well, thank you for to the organizers of this. It's very cool that there I am. You won't see me the whole time, but I do. Whenever I do a presentation, I always like to juggle a little bit. So boom, there we go, juggling. All right. And now I'm going to switch over to the slides and talk to you about optimizing formulations. So here we go. There we go. All right. What I also want to say, it's really great to see that chapters can get together and an area can get together and put on an event like this. This is really the first time that that I know of that we've done something like this, and so I'm really excited about it. And thanks to everybody who attended. Incidentally, if you have any questions while I'm talking, feel free to type it in the bottom there, and we'll get to as many questions as we can. All right, and there. I do want to mention about Chemist Corner. If you haven't seen it, be sure to go to Chemist Corner. It's a free resource for cosmetic chemists, and you'll find training information, career info, and all kinds of advice for becoming a better, more innovative cosmetic chemist. Also, as part of Chemist Corner is our forum, which is an excellent place to get questions answered about formulas, the industry, your career. You know, we have over 2,500 active discussions and over 5,000 members. So it's free to join. So feel free to go sign up for the forum and participate. And you can even register anonymously. So if you find that helpful. I also mentioned my my course here, Practical Cosmetic Formulating, that you can get by going to that link. All right, let's move on to the main topic. So here are the main things I'm going to speak to you about today. First, we'll go over what I mean by formula optimization. Then we'll cover an overall strategy to optimize your formulas. Next, during that, I'll cover some specific techniques and how they are creating, how they affect creating prototypes and then testing those prototypes. And then finally, I'm going to end with what I see as some of the biggest challenges to this kind of optimization. There we go. All right, so let's begin with formula optimization. Now, optimization can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and there are many aspects of what it means to optimize a formula. But on the most basic level, formula optimization is finding the ideal level for any raw material in your formula. Of course, that's not a helpful definition if you don't know what I mean by the ideal level. Well, the ideal level of an ingredient depends on a number of factors, and it is something that you have to just figure out on a case-by-case basis. Ultimately, the ideal level depends on what characteristics you're optimizing for. Now, we'll go over what those are in a moment, but first, let me give you an overall strategy for optimizing cosmetic formulas. Here's a simple 5-step strategy of optimization. You can use this to optimize pretty much any formula for any purposes. So the steps are: first, decide what you want to optimize and why. Next, find a way to measure whatever characteristics you are trying to optimize for. If you can't measure something, then you're not going to be able to optimize for it. Next, you create your prototypes, and you need a starting point from which you can optimize. You can't optimize right away. You have to know where you are and so where you're going to go. Next is to test your prototypes. One of the most challenging parts of optimizing and formulating in general is creating tests that can quantify formula differences. It's a real challenge in our industry. And then finally, refine those prototypes, and then you repeat this process until you get to a point where you have the most optimized formula that you can get. Or maybe not. Formulating, remember, is more of an art than a science. So let's begin with the first step, deciding what to optimize. As I said, finding the ideal level of an ingredient depends mostly on what you want to optimize for. There are a number of things you can optimize in a formula, including product performance, say in lab tests, consumer acceptance, that's how well consumers like the way the product performs. This is probably the most important, these are probably the most important things to optimize. Now, you know, happy consumers make loyal consumers. So that's what you really want to focus on. Now, other things you can optimize for, of course, include product stability, formula cost, and of course, the finance people will be highly interested in making sure you do that. You can also optimize for your manufacturing people. I'm sure there are things for which you can optimize, but most of them will fall under these categories. So when you're looking to optimize a formula, you need to decide which of those things is most important to your optimization program. Sometimes you can optimize for multiple characteristics simultaneously. For example, you could improve lab performance, and that may increase consumer acceptance. But usually, optimization requires you to focus on one of the things at the expense of other things. Hopefully not, but sometimes that does happen. All right, once you decide what to optimize your formula for, you have to figure out some way to measure that characteristic. Optimization without measurement is not optimization. So what can we measure? Well, in the lab, you can measure specific performance characteristics. Now, this will depend on the type of product you're making, of course, but for cleansing products, you can measure foam, for example. You can measure moisturization scores for skin products or color fastness for color products. To optimize, you need to find reliable measurement for whatever characteristics you're interested in, though. Now, if your focus is on consumer performance, you can optimize for consumer perception scores. And this means you'll have to create a questionnaire, get a group of reliable consumers to test, and then test them. And this can be pretty expensive and pretty challenging to get reliable results. For optimizing for stability performance, you can do some long-term stability tests. And for formula cost optimization, well, you just need to calculate what your formula costs before you optimize. And finally, if you're optimizing for manufacturer, time is probably the most important thing which you can measure. Anything that makes the product produced in spec more quickly would probably be worth optimizing for. All right, let's talk about some of the optimization techniques. So we figured out what we're going to optimize. Let's go more deeply into the techniques, and we'll cover specifically cost optimization, knockout formulation techniques, and then a trick for optimizing any ingredient level. And then we'll talk also about minimalist formulating. Now, when I first started working at Alberto Culver, I was hired on as a cost-saving chemist. That just meant I was given a formula and told to make them less expensive. But of course, I couldn't negatively impact the performance. At the time, I didn't really know even what all the ingredients and formulas do, since you don't really learn much about that when you get a degree in chemistry in college, which is actually not a bad thing. When you're trying to find cost reductions, it's better that you don't know some things, because you might make choices that people who knew more than that wouldn't have made. So anyway, the first thing I had to learn about optimizing formulas is how to measure. So how to figure out the cost of the formula. And it's pretty easy. Here's a simple 5-step process. First you determine your starting costs. Next, you identify the raw materials that you want to reduce. Then you lower the levels of those in prototypes. You make your prototypes and test your prototypes. It's pretty straightforward. Some of the things that you need to do this, you'll need, of course, the formula percentages, which you'll have. Then you need the cost of all your raw materials, and you'll also need the ability to do really simple math. So to figure out your formula costs, get your formula percent of ingredients. Then you find the raw material costs of each ingredient. You can, get this from your supplier or from your purchasing agent. I know sometimes suppliers don't like to give you the formula costs, but it's really important as a formulator that you get those things. Then you simply just multiply your ingredient percentage by the cost of the ingredient, and this will give you the ingredient component costs. And then you add up each individual cost, and you'll get the overall formula. So let's look at an example here. So here we have a formula for a shampoo or a body wash, and then the percents in the formula. So the column next to, column next, so we have the percent, then we have the cost per pound of the ingredient in the middle column, and then in the final column, you just multiply those together, and you get the component cost of all the raw materials. And then you can see this particular formula costs about $0.1166 or just over 11 cents. So now that means that, and that's per pound, we would say, 11 cents per pound. Now that we know how to measure the cost, we've got to come up with some way to optimize the cost. And there really is no reason you should be selling a more expensive formula when a less expensive formula will do. So how do you do that? Here's some basic things you can do to optimize your formula cost. You can, of course, reduce the expensive ingredients and your claims ingredients too. There's no legal limit to how low you can go on a claims ingredients. However, I would say, you don't want to go so low that you're not able to detect it. I just in the news there was a story about some Walgreens, some products that are sold in Walgreens, these aloe vera gels, where some independent investigators found that they couldn't detect any aloe vera in the gels, and so they kind of got in trouble for that. So yeah, you can go. There's no limit to how low you can go, but make sure you're high enough in your percentage that it's still detectable. Another thing you can do is you can eliminate any ingredients that don't have a noticeable effect. And to figure out which one of those, you can run a knockout experiment, which I'll talk about shortly. Another thing you can do is replace your expensive ingredients with less expensive ones. And then you can also increase the amount of the less expensive ingredients. For example, you can increase your water, and that'll lower your costs. So let's look at how we did this with this example. So remember this formula here. Well, let's see how we might reduce the cost by 10%. First, we look at the ingredients that add the most cost. And in this particular formula, it's the sodium lauryl sulfate, it's the cocoa propyl betaine, and it's the fragrance. Those are the ingredients that they're the most expensive, and of course they have the most function in the formula. So there's not a lot we can do to reduce the cost here, but you can certainly try that. And so the next thing that we might do is we just adjust the levels of those ingredients. You can see the sodium lauryl sulfate I reduced from 28 down to 25%. The betaine I reduced from 6 down to 5.8%. And the fragrance I reduced there. And with that reduction, just on paper, I've now got a 10.5 cents per pound formula. So there you go, my 10% reduction. Now, is this formula any good? Maybe, I don't know. That's where you have to test it. So after you do this on paper, you just create the prototype and test it. All right, that brings us to our next optimization technique, the knockout experiment. I got the idea for the knockout experiment from my work in biology and biochemistry. I originally was a biology major. Now, one of the ways that they study genetics is by breeding mice that have one of their genes knocked out. So they'll knock out that gene, and then they look at the resulting organism to see what kind of changes there might be. So a knockout experiment for a cosmetic product works very similarly. So when you're optimizing your formula, you're attempting to discover the ideal level of your ingredients. So it's helpful to know the effect of the ingredients at extreme concentrations. So the highest being the level that is in your formula, and then the lowest being the formula with no ingredient. So in a knockout experiment, you get to see the effects of the ingredient on your formula. It's pretty easy to do a knockout experiment. You simply create a series of formulas and substitute out one ingredient for the solvent. Then you evaluate the effect. So let's take a look at an example formula here. So here's a knockout experiment case study. After this is a shampoo formula, and you can see the percents listed in the first column there. And then you have the control formula, which is just the entire formula. You make that. And then there's a series of knockout batches. In batch A, we get rid of the sodium lauryl sulfate and we replace it with water. We do the same in B, where we get rid of the lauryl methyl taurate. And then we just go down the line and we make a series of these batches, leaving out one ingredient and replacing it with water. Now, that will give us an indication of what effect did that ingredient have on the formula. And so after I made all these batches, I took some measurements, pH, viscosity, and foam. This foam measurement was just a subjective measurement, but that gives the results. So what does this tell us? Well, it tells us an ingredient like sodium lauryl sulfate, where normally the pH is 5.5, without that, its pH is 6.0. So the SLS actually does reduce the pH a bit. Something like the fragrance, you can see the viscosity of the fragrance. The viscosity goes up to 12,000. So clearly the fragrance has a negative impact on viscosity. And if we look at how to use these results, it depends on what you're optimizing for, though. If you are optimizing for production, you can use the data to help in adjusting batches that might be out of spec, for example. And for performance, you can see what ingredients are crucial for creating the foam. You know, in this example, you can reduce the fragrance pretty much to make the foam better. So it's a pretty useful technique, these knockout experiments. Now, I should say, I like the knockout experiments a lot, but they do have some limitations. You know, it can take a lot of batches. If you have a lot of ingredients, it take a lot of batches to make. Also, you won't be able to see any synergistic effects. If two ingredients together are having another effect, that might not work. And then sometimes the results are unrealistic. If you're making an emulsion and you take out the emulsifier, you know, you're not going to have a very effective prototype that you can test. But I really have found overall that these knockout experiments really help me understand exactly the effect of an ingredient in the formula. And once you understand the effect of the ingredient, then you'll be able to optimize the level. Now, I should also mention that the knockout experiment is really a crude version of a method called the design of experiment. And you can theoretically get a lot more from a DOE experiment. It's just more sophisticated. And honestly, I took a 3-day course on the system, the DOE system, and you know, I just couldn't get it to be useful for cosmetic formulating. It just took too many batches, and the test methods, you know, that we have for cosmetics are just they're just too crude, really. You know, but maybe someone will find a way to make DOE effective. But I've never seen it more effective than just a simple knockout experiment. Now, once you have a good idea of what ingredients are needed and what your formula looks like when they aren't in there, then you can try to optimize the ingredient levels. So to start, the first thing you need to know is what characteristics you want to optimize, and then what the effect that ingredient has on it. And if you've done your knockout experiment, you know the effect that the ingredient has on the formula, and add its standard amount and add its minimum amount. So if you want to increase whatever characteristic that is, you can increase the ingredient level. If you want to decrease that characteristic, you can decrease the level. Now, to adjust the level in the most efficient way, you'll want to either cut the ingredient percent in half, or you want to double it. And you also want to minimize changes. So don't adjust more than one ingredient at a time. But if you do this in the most efficient way, you'll be able to optimize your ingredients in 7 batches or less. So that can be, and normally I would do this little exercise on how to do that, but we're running a little short on time, so we'll skip that. All right, now that I've talked to you about a few examples and techniques of how to optimize your prototypes, I just want to give you a basic philosophy that you can use when optimizing, and I call this formula minimalism. The concept of formula minimalism is that you strive to use the least amount of any ingredient that you can produce the desired effect, right? So the most optimized formula will be the one that uses the fewest number of ingredients at the lowest levels, but still provide that consumer beneficial effect. That's really what you should strive to create. I know a lot of companies strive to put as much stuff in their formulas are, and they can get these really long ingredient lists. And you can still do that, but as a formula philosophy, I always go for less ingredients, and there are a number of benefits for that. For example, that reduces the inventory of ingredients that your company has to keep on hand. That reduces the chemical exposure to the workers, to the consumers. It also reduces the production of environmental waste. You can lower the cost of your final formulas, and it makes it a lot less complicated during startups. So your goal should really be to have working formulas that have the least amount of ingredients in them. Although I should say, you want to reduce as many ingredients as you can, but just not too many, because you need products that ultimately work. So while figuring out the correct levels of the ingredient is important, it's really just the first part. You also need to test your prototypes to see how your ingredient adjustments affect the final outcome. And remember, when you are optimizing, you typically want to either improve your performance or at least keep it the same. To determine whether you did that, you need to test your prototypes. And this is a real challenge in the cosmetic industry. The specific type of testing that you do depends on the type of product that you're making and the type of claims that you're making. Now, while there are a few industry standard tests, the cosmetic industry has traditionally been secretive, and protocols for testing are not widely shared. This has resulted in most companies having to develop their own methods tailored specifically to the equipment that they have and the products that they want to test. But generally, there are only a few types of tests that you can do for any type of product. And in the hair care area, that means you can do foam testing. And there's a Ross Miles foam test but the reality is that most companies will come up with their own version of a foam test. At Alberta Culver, we had a blender and a plastic cup and a pipette, and that's how we measured it. It was really tailored to our company, but it was effective for what it was. The other thing you can do is use testing, and that's important. There are some standard hair test instruments. For example, we have truss tests. We have the combing, or manual combing and robotic combing. There's the Instron or the Diastron device, which can measure the force being pulled through the hair. And of course, there's salon testing. But again, there aren't a lot of standard methods for these, and a lot of times a company will have to come up with their own methods. A great place to find methods is if you go through some of the patent literature, looking through some of the claims. They'll often explain the tests that they did there. And so that's a source where you can find your own evaluation. One of the things I want to stress is that, since the cosmetic industry does not have a lot of specific tests that you can read in a book, you can learn the specifics, from reading through journal evaluations and seeing what people did, but a lot looking through patents. But often you're going to have to just make up your own test. But when you're making up your own test, make sure you do controls, make sure you have a way to verify that your test is still appropriate, and have fun. It's kind of a cool part there. I'm going to skip that here and just get right onto some of the optimization challenges. One of the big challenges when you're optimizing formulas is the lack of the scientifically robust tests. If you make a change and it seems like it's improved things, you need a way to prove that, certainly to your marketing people, because if you're going to make a change in your formula, you want to make sure that it does not affect consumers. And the hard part for chemists, for sure, for formulating and making optimization choices, it's hard to get consumer data. Consumer data is unreliable, and I remember you could test the same formula with two different groups of consumers and get vastly different bits of data. So it's about as reliable as polling for the presidential election, I guess. So sometimes but it's the only data that we got, so it's worth doing. There's also a pressure to make products less expensive. You're always going to face that, and so that's one of the optimization challenges. So when you are actually creating a new prototype, it's always my suggestion is you don't want to optimize right before you launch, because what's going to happen a year after you launch, your marketing people come to you and they'll say, all right, we need to make this formula cheaper. It's great, but we need it cheaper. So optimize later. Don't optimize when you're first creating a new product. The other challenge with optimizing is sometimes this testing can take a long time. So if you want to optimize your formula for whatever characteristics, you're talking about, it could take a year, maybe even more than a year to really get your formula optimized. But there are some great benefits to optimizing formulas. All right, that brings me to the end. I went through what formula optimization was. We specifically talked about what characteristics that you can optimize, and then went through some of the optimization techniques, including cost savings, the knockout experiments, and the formula ingredient adjustments. And we finally talked a bit about testing your formulas and where you might find techniques to do it. So that brings me to the end of my talk. Here's my contact information, but you can have these slides after the presentation, so you can look through that there. And I'm going to see if there are any questions here. Let me just stop sharing and back to here. So there we go. All right, I'm going to look and see if there were any questions posed. I don't see any. And I will throw it back to either Valerie or Jacqueline. Hello, Jacqueline. There you go.
Yes, Perry, there was a question from Scott.
Sure.
Can you see it?
I see the chat there. And there we go, Scott. Okay. Scott asked, what best practices can you recommend when doing cost optimization to avoid situations where you incrementally degrade performance? That's a great question, and something that that you will face when you're optimizing for formula. So what will happen? What will happen when you're optimizing for cost is that you'll test your lower cost formula versus your current product, and you don't see any difference, and it's great. You made a cost, and then the next year they want the cost to go down, and so now you test your new formula against something that was further cost reduced, and there's no difference. So great, now you're that far. And if you do this long enough, you'll have watered down your formula so much from what it originally was that then consumers start to notice. So the way to combat that is you should always have a sense or a sense of the first formula that you had that consumers were happy with. And whenever you're trying to reduce costs, don't just compare it to the current formula, compare it to the original formula just to see how far away you're getting away from what it originally was. But that's certainly, when you're optimizing for costs, that's a huge, huge thing. So one of the best practices is always compare it to where you originally were. All right, it looks like the technology worked, huh?
Yes. I would just like to thank you for your participation in the Area 3 Innovation in Hair Technology webinar. The recorded YouTube session and slides will be available on your SEC chapter's website shortly. Thank you to our speakers, Judy, Scott, and Perry. And on behalf of the California, Southwest, Intermountain West, and Twin Cities SEC, have a safe and happy holidays and a fantastic 2017. Thank you.